My name is Mónica Allende. I'm a creative director, independent curator, educator, and consultant on photography. So, what do I do as a curator? I look at ways in which we can tell stories, and then those stories actually are going to be translated into a physical space. So I started as a photo editor. And as a photo editor of the Sunday Times Magazine, what I was actually doing is working with photographers and moving those stories onto the page and working with an artistic director to make those stories into the magazine in a way that they were visually interesting, but more importantly, that they were trying to convey the stories that we needed to tell to our readership. As a curator, it's not a massive difference, but you have to take on board that you are in the physical space. So you can either expand or be constrained by it. The idea that you have to work with the materiality. So there are two or three several, additional sort of skills that you need to develop. As a curator, I work in different ways. My preferred way of working as a curator and my own personal methodology is to work towards a topic. So what I have done before is to have an idea that for me is always relatable for a broad, diverse audience. And for me, what is relatable? Relatable is something that is kind of directly affecting you at a given moment. So we will be working on as a curator on a photography festival. I could be working with 25 different photographers, 25 different stories, going across 25 different venues. Those venues, they can sort of change from being a traditional type of a gallery space to an unusual location, sometimes historical locations, sometimes interventions in a church, for example, like I have done before, a working church. So you think we sort of work can fit in there, a supermarket, a library, in the public space, in the middle of the street. So you have all these different spaces where you can actually put your stories. So the beginning could be the topic, but then you have these different venues. For me, the interesting aspects of curating this way is that I like to have, like I said, this topic that is relevant to the to my audience, to the audience that is going to be visitors in that particular space, in that particular time. Another thing which is very important is that the venues or the spaces are in dialogue with the story. So what I have done in the past, I have put work that is very related to incarcerations, inside a historical building in Sweden, which used to be used as a prison before the Second World War, for example. So when the audience is visiting these type of spaces, and then looking at work which actually makes a reference to the space in dialogue with the space, there is an additional sort of connection and dialogue. As a curator, you are a person that you are not only thinking of the stories, you are not only thinking of the theme, but you're trying to create a connection between all those stories, the space, the audience, the moment. And also, you are actually thinking in terms of how the sequencing is going to work in the right space. It's not about putting just all the images one after the other one, fill the walls. You have to be really considering when you are in front of the walls, when you are in the middle of the space, how the sequencing, the proximity, the materiality. Sometimes you might choose to print in photographic paper. Sometimes you might want to transcend the frame, which I'm very well known for. I like the idea of using different materials to using sort of papers in front of windows to create sort of light boxes, effects. I like the idea to create shape and forms, which is integrated in the photography. So makes you reflect in how the way that the storytelling is being composed to better convey the story. So I guess as a curator, you're always thinking of the story. You're thinking how the audience is going to be able to perceive the story, to understand it, to be captivated by it, but also to give spaces for reflections, spaces for analysis and critical thinking. And also, as a curator, you are this. You're the link, you're the bridge between the photographer and the space. So you are the person who reassures the photographer that they could be trusted, that their work and their idea and their what they're trying to say is in safe hands. You can actually enhance in the way what the story is perceived, is seen, and that's very important. And that is why the photographers and the artists, they really feel they want to build a close relationship with the curator, because in a way you can bring sort of aspects or suggestions to make the story stronger and to make the story more impactful. For me, the way that I look for work and work and that being in the exhibitions that I curate goes through several pathways. I'm actively doing portfolio review all the time, and this is a way where I'm getting in, what I find work, or I discover work that it was not familiar to me. So we will look at everything, and then we will have a jury who make a final decision. We try to exhibit several works from that. I look at who is winning prizes. I'm quite active in the area of traditional research, trying to see publications, trying to see from grassroots organizations who are they working with. I keep quite in close conversation with my colleagues in grassroots organizations in different parts of the world, which they themselves will have exhibitions, open calls. So you are also finding people through those channels.